Really important news from Minister Calandra, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And I just want to say it's always a privilege to be able to come here to St. Catharines and see the incredible work that's underway, whether it's the rejuvenation of St. Paul Street, whether it's the incredible amenities that are coming back to St. Catharines. And I know that St. Catharines is one of those places when I'm in the GTA, when I'm at Queen's Park and I speak with people about Niagara and I speak with them about the opportunities that exist here in Niagara region, the burgeoning industry that's coming to our community and the incredible amenities that we have, the incredible quality of life. People tell me all the time, I drove through St. Catharines the other day and I want to live there. I want to move there. And you know, the reality is there's so many people coming to our province who want to come to Niagara. They understand the incredible opportunities that exist here. They see St. Catharines as a shining example of those opportunities, but they need to have homes to be able to move here. And we know that all of us want more neighbors. We want to see more people moving to our communities, to raise families, to participate in the workforce here, to contribute in so many important ways to our local culture, our local economy, and to give back to the communities that they come to know and love. But we need, again, to make sure that people have the housing opportunities in order to make that happen. So I'm very pleased today to be joined by someone who has been a fierce advocate, a strong fighter for those who are seeking to enter into the housing market, those who are ensuring that they want to get that dream of home ownership. He has been working tirelessly since not just his time at Queen's Park, but also before that working with the federal government to make sure that more and more opportunities exist for new Canadians, for young families, for those who are perhaps looking to downsize and get into a different kind of home. And so I'm very pleased to welcome today someone who is going to share some good news about what St. Catharines has been doing, a friend of mine and a friend of Niagara's, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Paul Calandra. Welcome to St. Catharines.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Mayor. It is very good to be here, and I'm very pleased to see our colleague from Queen's Park, MPP Stevens, here as well. I think it's safe to say we disagree on a lot of things, but we do agree on the fact that we have to build more homes across the province of Ontario. We might disagree on what kind and how, where, when, but she's always been a fierce advocate for your community as well, so I'm sure you're every bit as proud of her as I am to work with her at Queen's Park. So thank you for being here. Again, and thank you, Sam. Sam, it seems like we're in Niagara all the time. There is just so much happening in and around the region. It's actually quite remarkable, frankly. Hospitals, long-term care. I know hospice has been something that's been very important to you. And Sam has been an incredible champion for you at Queen's Park. Got a very good team working on your behalf at Queen's Park, and of course, Mayor, I get to meet a lot of mayors, obviously, and a lot of councillors, and Mayor Cisco has been not only a very fierce champion on behalf of your community and all of Niagara, but somebody that is not afraid to give me advice, and I mean that very sincerely. Not afraid to give me advice. Not afraid to tell me if we're going on the wrong path. Stands up very vigorously for your community, and somebody that I turn to when I need advice. I joke with the mayor. He's probably forgotten more than I know at this point, and I can't thank you enough, Mayor. Your council has been very much appreciated. Look, obviously you know why we're here. It's a big, huge check, $2.3 million. That is a very good sum, and it recognizes the fact that St. Catharines is doing what it takes to get shovels in the ground to build more homes for the people in your community. As Sam talked about, there are so many people that want to come not only to Niagara but to Ontario. We're seeing millions of people wanting to make that trek to Ontario because it offers so many people a chance at a better life. And to keep up with that, we're having to build more homes as quickly as we possibly can. The Building Faster Fund recognizes that. I would say, Mayor Cisco, one of the great things, one of the reasons I'm so excited to be here in St. Catharines is because the Mayor has recognized that it is all types of housing that we need in order to ensure that we can meet the goals of the people of the province of Ontario. But as we often say, it is one thing to build homes, it's one thing to get shovels in the ground. The BFF, the Building Faster Fund, though, recognizes the fact that we need to do more on getting the services in the ground so that you can get houses on top of it. And it's a reflection of the fact that we've heard from you, Mayor, and from mayors across Ontario that we need to do more on infrastructure if we're going to build not only hundreds of homes, but thousands of homes across the province of Ontario, because that ultimately is our goal. Our goal is to build 1.5 million homes across the province of Ontario. Every part of the province is going to pitch in and help us meet that goal. And why do we need to meet that goal? Because we have, as I said, thousands of people who want to come to this province. We have thousands of jobs that remain to be filled, and we have people who we need to invite here to contribute to help us build a bigger, better, stronger province of Ontario. But it also is an understanding that we have that it doesn't matter what rules we might eliminate, it doesn't matter the policies that we put in place. If the infrastructure is not on the ground, sewer and water, it is very, very hard for St. Catharines and communities like St. Catharines to meet the targets that we have set for them. The other thing that we are constantly hearing, of course, is the cost of doing that. Many in the development community have talked about the high interest rates and the impact that is having on them and their ability to get shovels in the ground. And more importantly, we're hearing from residents, from individuals who want to buy their first home, who want to get into the market for the first time, and the impact that high interest rates are having on their ability to do so. So there are a lot of challenges that we face, but in communities like St. Catharines, and communities like Peterborough and Stouffville, Brampton, Toronto, these are communities that are removing obstacles, that are understanding the challenges that we face to get shovels in the ground. They are not deterred by those obstacles, and that is why we are here today to support them with a check of over $2.3 million to not only recognize the work that they have done to get shovels in the ground, but more importantly, to help put more infrastructure in the ground so that they can not only, you can not only meet, but exceed your targets in the years ahead. So thank you very much. I can't again thank you enough. You're very lucky in this community to have a mayor who has been so gracious with his time and so gracious with his advice. Members of provincial, one who just seems to suck all the money out of Queen's Park. I don't know how. As I said, hospitals, long-term care that are happening in this community. Everybody's talking about Niagara, and it is a very good thing to hear that what we have all known for so long, and now hearing so many people talk about it. And of course, even when we are on the opposite aisle, we all have the same interest at hand, and that is making our province a better place to live, work, invest, and to raise a family. And again, thank you so much, Mayor. I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. And with that, I'll introduce you to you. Well, I'll not introduce you. I'll ask your Mayor to come up and say a few words. Thanks again, Mayor.
Good morning, everybody. I will say I could get used to announcements like this. I'm so happy to be here today with my provincial colleagues, the Honourable Paul Calandra, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and MPP Sam Osterhoff, as well as MPP Jenny Stevens, to be present for the announcement that the city will be receiving funding through the province's Building Faster Fund for the number of housing starts we reached in 2023. I'm joined today by Deputy Mayor Bill Phillips, as well as Councillor Dodge, Councillor Townsend, Councillor Lindell, Councillor Garcia. I saw Councillor McPherson and Councillor Ratzlaff as well. I thank them. It's a Monday morning and they were able to make it out, so I sincerely appreciate them being here. This is fantastic news for the city of St. Catharines, and it builds on our pledge to achieve or exceed the provincial housing target of 11,000 homes that we set last year to be built by 2031. To build more housing, the city has to build more infrastructure to support our residents, as the minister mentioned. Transportation and servicing infrastructure may not seem exciting, but they are absolutely vital pieces to the housing puzzle that's going to connect our neighborhoods and our communities. We all know there's a housing crisis. It's affecting many cities across the country, and home ownership has become increasingly difficult to imagine for many Canadians, especially young families and newcomers. The Building Faster Fund is going to help the city support us with the resources we need to accelerate the infrastructure improvements which are essential for us to address that housing crisis. With 30% of Niagara's region's population calling our city home and unparalleled accessibility to major urban centers, St. Catharines is a desirable location for both current and future residents. But as an older city with natural limitations, such as the waterfront, the greenbelt, prime agricultural land, growth will have to occur through both infill and intensification efforts. Urban sprawl has long been a dead issue here in St. Catharines. It's a concept that our policy planning team and our support staff, along with council, has upheld. We've embraced through very permissive land use policies to make sure that housing can get built. Our primary focuses remain affordability, sustainability, housing diversity, the aging population, and a balanced approach to accommodate the different income levels and housing options. I want to thank the provincial government for their collaboration with cities in addressing the housing crisis. The city will use these funds to tackle our infrastructure obstacles, allowing the development community to sustain the momentum in constructing housing within St. Catharines. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our staff who are here, and I saw Planning Director Tammy Kate, especially her team in planning and building services for the work they've done using all the funding that's come through, but specifically the Streamlined Development Fund over the last couple of years from the provincial government, which has allowed us to change a lot of the processes that happen here at City Hall to make it easier for developers to get shovels in the ground. We'll continue to support their efforts through the dollars, not just with the Building Faster Fund, but further dollars on the levy to make sure that this city remains a place where people want to build and where housing gets built. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and thank you, Minister, for sharing good news with more funding for the City of St. Catharines. This concludes the formal portion of our announcement this morning. If there are any questions, we can take them now.
I have a question, Mr. Calandra, from CHCH News.
Sure.
The way these housing starts are counted, do you think it's fair in that St. Catharines gets money, Milton gets money, but Burlington doesn't get money just because its housing starts are in a condo? That's my understanding. Is that fair?
Its housing starts on a
Condo, in a condo.
no. Burlington's not getting any funding because they're not getting shovels in the ground, period. Burlington needs to address some of the reasons why they're not getting shovels in the ground. Look, I recently took a look at why are people not getting shovels in the ground in Burlington. So I took the example of Markham and compared what it takes to get a shovel in the ground in Markham in comparison to what it takes to get a shovel in the ground in Burlington. A shovel in the ground in Markham was about $235,000. A shovel in the ground in Burlington was $1.8 million. So I think that has a lot to do with it. As I've said to the Mayor of Burlington on many occasions, if there are ways that we can help her reduce costs so people get shovels in the ground in Burlington, I'd be happy to help her with that. But what this recognizes is those communities that haven't seen obstacles. They have worked around those obstacles to get shovels in the ground. Look, you can have it can be one of two things. You can either be a mayor who removes obstacles like they have done here, the mayor and this council and this planning department, and when you see where we're going, you know, you have Brampton meeting targets, Toronto meeting targets, Stouffville meeting their targets, Hamilton meeting their targets. Every community around Burlington seems to be able to meet their targets with the exception of Mississauga and Burlington. And the common denominator there seems to be costs and mayors who simply don't want to put shovels in the ground. I have no time for it. We'll remove the obstacles and we'll get shovels in the ground no matter what it takes.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a long answer. I apologize for that.
I have another question if nobody else wants to ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
There's a thing going on in Hamilton now. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Yeah.
It's a debate over parking lots or housing, a proposal to build affordable housing in a parking lot. A lot of opposition to it.
Yeah.
The city seems to be evenly divided on this one.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, we have a huge challenge, right? We have a very big challenge that we have not faced in the province of Ontario ever. Right? We always had lots of space. We were very selfish when it came to building homes in this province. We had lots of space. We could move out, build homes, and 40 by 100, everybody was happy. But that is not the case anymore. We're a province of 15 million people. We have 800,000 people who came to our province, and we need more. Frankly, we need more. We have 700,000 jobs that need to be filled. We need more people to come here, so we need our communities and to look differently on how we build homes, whether it is underused parking lots. Yes, use that. Some of the things that they are doing in this community, use it. We have to think differently. We have to think up We're not going out as much. We have to think up, and we have to have different solutions to how we do it. It means we have to do parks differently. Schools have to be different. So, look, I can't say this enough to those municipalities that look at building in the way it used to be done in the 70s and the 80s when things were even keel. That's not what Ontario is today. We have 15 million people. We have thousands of people who come here, thousands of jobs that need to be filled, and they need homes. And I'll just conclude with this, because I know what happens next. When you don't build the homes for the people who want to be here, the people who, frankly, we need to be in this province, we're begging people to come to this province, help us build a better Ontario. I know what happens next. The people that we beg to come here, help us build a better Ontario, then become the focus of why we have housing crises. And it's not fair. The reason we have housing crises is because we're not building fast enough. We're not thinking outside of the box. This recognizes those communities that do, and an understanding and appreciation that we have to get more infrastructure on the ground, and we've got to get the federal government to work on helping us reduce those interest rates so builders can build and people can afford to buy the homes.
We have another question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Karina Wolf from the St. Catharines Standard. The $2.3 million, because the city has already achieved its housing target, probably isn't going to pay for all the infrastructure for 11,000 new units. I'm just wondering if there's going to be another round of funding announced?
Yeah, there's definitely more the Building Faster funds that the city, I'm sure, will achieve over the next couple of years. But it is very clear to me that given the advocacy and the discussions that I've had, not only with Mayor Cisco, but mayors across the province of Ontario, that the number one obstacle to building homes is the infrastructure, sewer and water predominantly. It is one of the reasons why we get a bit frustrated. Whilst I'm grateful for what the federal government is doing in terms of its housing accelerator funding, I always love to have more money, but I always put it in context. They're building thousands of homes. We need to build millions of homes. $1.2 billion in Toronto bought 2,000 homes with federal funding. $1.2 billion in funding gets me thousands of homes if I put it in water and wastewater in different parts of the province of Ontario. So that's the difference between what I want to accomplish and what we're seeing. We can either focus on building hundreds of homes or we can focus on building millions, and I completely understand. The mayor has helped me understand that we need to get water and wastewater in the ground, and then the other services that support that. You talk about transit, and it's about building communities, not just homes, but it starts with water and wastewater so that we can build millions of homes, and there is more to come on that I guarantee you.
A second question.
Sure.
It's about the Ontario Heritage Act. The Architectural Conservancy of Ontario have sent out a letter asking the government to change the deadline for properties that are on the Heritage Registry from the end of the year to next year. I'm just wondering if your government is considering that. It's something that St. Catharines Council endorsed last week.
Yeah, I'm sitting down with Minister Ford to better understand any challenges that they may have in meeting the deadline that had been previously set. At the same time, as I said, I'm pretty focused on removing obstacles that get in the way of building homes. But look, you can't help but come into a place like Niagara and see just how important our history and heritage is. It is not only important just to the communities, but frankly, it's an economic driver. So we, as I said, I'll sit down and continue to work with Minister Ford on this, but I have no decisions on that. But Minister Ford will be the primary driver on that. Okay. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Oh yeah.
Can I ask the mayor a question?
Sure.
That's even better.
Just to get a comment from you, what were the challenges in getting the housing starts that would lead to this money? Could you just give us a rundown on what it was like?
I think the minister's done a good job of sort of laying out, like, we have infrastructure challenges. I try to tell people, our community's going to turn 150 years old in a few years, and there are pipes in the ground that are as old or older than the community. So we know that there are infrastructure challenges. That is probably our biggest issue in the community. If you go back several years, there were processes in our planning and building department that needed to be changed, but when you are running a municipality using just property taxes, it's very difficult to find the dollars that are necessary to institute the changes. Staff are just trying to keep up with everything that's coming in. So the Streamlined Development Fund, a couple of years ago, introduced by the provincial government, we were able to access those dollars in a couple of rounds to be able to start putting in place, things like permitting and plans review online, things that just make life easier for our staff and makes it easier for developers. And it also helps us address a little bit, there's definitely a shortage of planners and people related to the planning industry in the province of Ontario, whether it's people to review plans, engineers to review plans. Those shortages in labor in that particular industry make it very difficult as well. Some of the processes we've been able to put in place have allowed us to mitigate that concern. So I think there's definitely a labor shortage when it comes to just getting the people we need at City Hall to be able to get through the development applications, but we've been able to leverage the Streamlined Development Funding over the last few years to mitigate that as best we can. City Council also had to make some difficult budget decisions, but we've staffed up our planning department very specifically because this was a stated goal. We need to get more shovels in the ground. We need more housing units. I ran an election campaign a year and a half ago specifically on this topic. The province, I appreciate them following my lead. That was a joke, but they definitely understand the challenge that we're facing. And so, the city and City Council recognized we had to put more bodies down in that department because we had been, and this is, I will take the bullet as this as the budget chair previous to becoming the mayor, we were trying to find every opportunity to be as efficient as possible. But when it comes to the housing crisis that we're in, efficiency is always important, but you also have to make sure that you have the people available to do the work. And we weren't giving our planning staff that. We have fixed that over the last 2 years, and we're in a much better position now.
Just in terms of the housing crisis, in St. Catharines, how do you see it going forward? What kind of changes do you expect?
Well, we know we're a little bit different from other communities in that we are landlocked. We have less than 100 acres of developable green space left within the city's urban boundary. We know that we have to do infill, we have to grow up, we have to intensify. The minister was talking about parking lots, and I'm a big believer. We're in the process right now of setting up a municipal development corporation, and I've identified municipal parking lots as our first target. Not necessarily to eliminate the parking, but to build podiums, that you can put housing on top of, preserve the public parking element, maybe add a little bit more, but then have housing on top. There are ways to get around these issues that don't have to pit one part of the community against another part of the community. In our case, specifically to those municipal parking lots, they're in areas that allow for intensification already. We're not going to have to deal with neighbor concerns or overlook or anything like that. They're in parts of the city where people understand that intensification is going to happen, that we're going to have density. And so I'm excited by that part of our process going forward as well. But I think we're moving in the direction we needed to reach that 11,000 target by 2031. And I like to tell people, the strong mayor powers have been introduced in Ontario, and people keep asking me, are you going to use them? I said, I'm very blessed. I have a council that has been rowing in the same direction since we came together. We unanimously endorsed the 11,000 unit housing pledge, along with the housing strategy that was encapsulated in that, and council has stuck to that strategy all the way through. And every conversation I have with my colleagues is that we're continued to be committed to that path, and dollars like this, these are the collaborations and the partnerships I've been talking about over the last couple of months. In my State of the City a few weeks ago, I said, we need to have these collaborative arrangements and relationships with the federal and the provincial government, and today's an example of the province coming through like we knew they would.
What's the 2023 target?
It's 807. Target was 800. We hit 80.3%. Any other questions? All right.
It's only the second time we've been asked that question, by the way, so with all these
And I will say, in conversation with the minister a few weeks ago, we're very comfortable that we are going to continue to meet and exceed targets going forward. We can see the progress happening in the city.
Awesome, thank you.
Take a picture? Thank you. Sure. Let's do it.
All right. Photo now, please.
Where did the tall guys go?
We're just going to immediately apologies. Now that we're done with the podium.
Definitely Jenny and I can be on the one side.
Government.
Everybody gets a slide.